What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Dana White reacts to Backlash. Through the ongoing antitrust lawsuit against the UFC, more and more information about the UFC's dealings behind the scenes have continued to be made public. One of the most interesting pieces of information that has come to light so far has been fighter payout information for a number of the promotion's biggest stars, including Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz, and Brock Lesnar. In addition, a number of other fighters, such as former WWE champion CM Punk, had their salary information leaked, indicating he made $1,042,736 for his loss to Mickey Gall. As fight fans may recall, initially it had been reported that Punk made $500,000, which sparked outrage among fighters at the time, with Kat Zingano and Rafael dos Anjos notably taking aim at the UFC. The recently released documents show Dana White's reaction to the initial outrage back in 2016 and 2017, with White quoted as saying, "I'm getting crazy over here," after going back and forth with an attorney about the situation in a 2017 deposition. When it came to the 2017 deposition, the documents quoted White as saying, "It just happened recently again too," White said in the deposition. "We had some guy that was paid a certain amount of money and never, the professional wrestler that we brought in, not Brock Lesnar, the other one." After the attorney named CM Punk, White continued, saying, "Oh yeah, people went crazy when they saw what he got paid. Even the women." With the Lee v. Zuffa case headed to trial on April 8th, expect more and more news to continue to emerge. Now, let's take a look at Conor McGregor will regret fighting at middleweight. So far, without an official announcement from the UFC, it has remained unclear whether Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler will actually wind up competing at middleweight, or whether McGregor was simply trolling. In a recent interview with TMZ, Michael Chandler shared his thoughts on the situation, indicating that he believes that if McGregor is indeed serious about the fight taking place at 185 pounds, the situation could backfire.
Yeah, no, I think I am naturally bigger than him. If you remember, he's a natural 145 pounder who started making his name fighting cherry-picked 135 pounders. And I've carried this mass for the last 15 years and fought at lightweight with it. I don't think he'll be able to move like the Conor of old. He won't be able to have the same reaction time and footwork and light on his feet at 170, let alone 185. So, I think it benefits me. So wherever they want to do it, I'll do it. So I'm ready.
The way longtime commentator John Anik sees things, if the fight takes place at middleweight, the fight won't put the winner on the map for a potential crack at the 185-pound title. He spoke in an interview with MMA Junkie about the bout and his desire to see McGregor compete at 155 instead.
It has no divisional relevance at 85, really doesn't have much at 70, and I have long sort of wished that Conor McGregor would compete more at 155 pounds, right? He has only one lightweight win career-wise in the UFC against Eddie Alvarez. He did not defend the lightweight title, so did not successfully defend the lightweight title. So I don't know. I just like to see the man competing at 55, but this fight with Michael Chandler is not going to be at 155 pounds.
With Chandler's team in contact with the UFC, it sounds as though it's only a matter of time before the UFC formally announces the bout. Next up, let's take a look at Sean Strickland gets called out. Sean Strickland wasted little time in the new year before finding himself in the crosshairs of his fellow fighters. Following his appearance on Theo Von's This Past Weekend podcast, where he opened up about his childhood trauma, Strickland has now found himself on the receiving end of a call-out from bantamweight Song Yadong. Heading into the weekend, Strickland tweeted, "China's biggest exports, plastic and COVID." In response, Song Yadong responded with a lengthy message, calling out the middleweight champ for the claim, writing, "Hey champ, I respect your skills as a fighter, but we should be talking facts, not baseless stereotypes. As athletes, we ought to focus on what we know best and avoid making unfounded comments. Let's set a good example, alright?" So far, Strickland has yet to respond to the tweet. However, with the champ's upcoming fight against Dricus du Plessis right around the corner, it would be interesting to see if he's asked about the situation during one of his pre-fight media appearances. Although he has remained as brash as ever, the champ seems to have won over some fans by letting his guard down and opening up on his struggles as a child. Now, let's shift gears and take a look at UFC Fight Updates. The countdown to the return of the UFC is underway, with some exciting fights being finalized in the meantime. Without further ado, let's jump right into today's UFC Fight Updates, starting with a bantamweight fight between Raul Rosas Jr. and Ricky Turcios set for UFC Fight Night Mexico on February 24th. The bout will see Rosas look to build on a September win over Terrence Mitchell, while on the flip side, Tercios will be looking to build momentum on a November victory over Kevin Natividad. The following week, a lightweight fight between Joel Alvarez and Ludovic Klein will take place at UFC Fight Night Saudi Arabia on March 2nd. The bout will see Alvarez look to build momentum on the July victory over Mark Diakiese, while on the flip side, Klein will be looking to build on a 3-fight win streak that has seen him rattle off 3 straight decision wins. Later that month, 2 new fights have been added to the UFC Fight Night Atlantic City card on March 30th, with featherweights Dennis Buzukja and Connor Matthews set to compete in a high-stakes affair. Buzukja is in the midst of a 2-fight skid that saw him miss weight against Sean Woodson back in August, making this fight a must-win. On the flip side, Matthews is looking to make his successful UFC debut amid a 2-fight winning streak that saw him pick up a big Dana White's Contender Series victory in October. With Dana White's big Tuesday matchmaking meeting right around the corner, expect some UFC 300 updates sooner rather than later as well. Next, let's take a look at Tom Aspinall fires back at Stipe Miocic. Interim UFC heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall, like many members of the MMA community, has continued to question why the UFC is breaking tradition by having Jon Jones compete against Stipe Miocic when he returns to action, rather than competing against Aspinall in a title unification bout. In a series of posts across multiple social media platforms, Aspinall pointed out that by the time Miocic and Jones fight, it will have been 3 years since the former heavyweight champ competed in the octagon and lost to Francis Ngannou. As Aspinall also indicated, the last time Miocic fought, light heavyweight champion Alex Pereira hadn't even competed in the UFC yet. In response to a tweet of Aspinall's, Stipe Miocic urged the interim champ to be patient, saying that after he defeats Jones, they can talk about unifying the title. Aspinall has since responded, calling out Miocic for a fight in the meantime, writing, "Why wait? Ready when you are, boss," along with the handshake emoji. So far, Miocic has yet to respond. However, it's unlikely that the former champ is interested in fighting for their interim belt when Dana White has already indicated the UFC's desire to see Jones and Miocic fight. Next, let's take a look at Balal Muhammad sends a warning to UFC roster. Ahead of his upcoming crack at the title, Balal Muhammad has made it clear that after taking the long road to a title shot, he has no plans of letting anybody else cut the line. While nothing has been confirmed, Leon Edwards recently indicated to fans that he would be competing at UFC 300, with Muhammad's manager Ali Abdelaziz then tweeting that Muhammad would be heading to Dagestan soon to train. Ahead of the fight, Muhammad sent 2 different warnings to the UFC roster during a recent episode of he and Jason Annick's Remember the Show podcast. The first was a warning to his fellow fighters, indicating that following in Conor McGregor's footsteps and competing at your walk-around weight might not be the best idea.
You never want to be that heavy. Like, if for me, it's like, all right, well, let's fight at my walk-around weight is 190, 185. But it's like, it's going to make me not want to run. It's going to make me not want to eat right so I can just be sloppy. You never want to go into a fight sloppy. Like,
Muhammad then shifted gears, putting his fellow welterweights on notice.
Bully doesn't let nobody skip the line. Shaka will get last. Yeah, we're here to make a legacy. We're breaking all these dudes.
With his first crack at the title likely just months away, things are sure to heat up as he and Edwards both head into camp. With a Shavkat Rakhmonov title fight likely after that, it's certainly an exciting time for the welterweight division. Next, let's take a look at MMA Community roasts Joe Rogan for sparring footage. Joe Rogan has long prided himself on being an expert in martial arts. From his beginnings in Taekwondo to his jiu-jitsu experience and his love for mixed martial arts, Rogan also has plenty of experience in his own right. Back in 2015, however, Rogan and famed striker John Wayne Parr did some light sparring after recording an episode of The Joe Rogan Experience, with fans critiquing the longtime commentator. As one fan wrote, "Nothing to do with age or being gassed out. His hand technique is bad. He was chin up, doesn't know how to jab. Kicks are telegraphed. 1-2 was terrible. I doubt he's happy that people have seen this. Not a good look for somebody that claims he knows so much about MMA." Despite that, not everyone was convinced, with another member of the MMA community blaming age and writing, "Old age always gets you." And another wrote, "And some people really said Joe can beat McGregor." And another member of the MMA community writing, "Looks like..." Another fan agreed, writing, "He looks scared as shit." One fan poked fun at Rogan for overcompensating, writing, "Joe is that little man who wishes he was one of the guys." Of course, Rogan did reportedly win the Taekwondo US Open in 3 different divisions, and won 2nd place at US Nationals back during his heyday. Make sure to leave a comment and you might get featured in our next video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to never miss any MMA news. Check out our video from yesterday if you missed it. See you tomorrow.
Bye.